And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Name 5 is a party game which, shockingly, has you name 5 different things in a category. 5 TV dads, 5 video games, 5 things that begin with the letters ST. You know, it's a game that I suppose isn't that original. So in a game like this, it comes down to how well do they write the cards. What kind of categories do they put in the cards, or how does the game actually work in and of itself? Well, folks, let's take a closer look at the contents of the box, and we'll see. So here we have the Name 5 board. You start with pawns here. Now the rules say that you can have 2 pawns, each representing a team of 2 to 3 people, or you can have 4 pawns, each with a single person. I have no idea why you cannot have 4 pawns, or even 5 pawns with multiple players on each team. You can. I've tried it. So if that's, number of players is a lot for this game if you want. Game comes with a pile of cards, and on a player's turn, they simply roll a die, and they're going to move their pawn that many spaces. Now you can see there they move 2, they land it on a colored space. There's many colored spaces here on the board. When that happens, you will draw a card, and you have 30 seconds. A 30-second timer is included in the game to name 5 things that match the category of this card. So, for example, here we have 5 mafia movies, 5 parts of the eyes, 5 professional female athletes, 5 fruits with edible seeds, 5 teen celebrities. There's all different sorts of things of categories on the cards. Famous people with the last name Washington, tourist attractions in Chicago, Illinois, kinds of museums, Michael Jackson outfits, plastic surgery procedures, synonyms for the word small, actors over 6 feet tall. Now, this does definitely have an American bent to it. So there's certainly a lot of the United States culture in this game, but there's a lot of questions. And some of the things may be words that, things that people could argue with. For example, things you should not say to your boss. Well, I might say, yes, sir. And someone say, well, you should never say that to your boss. That's too much respect. I don't know. You can argue over it, but basically the players are going to vote over whether an answer counts. But you really shouldn't run into that. For crying out loud, it's a party game. If you do get the 5 right, then you get to roll again and keep taking your turn. Now there's some special spaces on the board. Let's focus up on some of these here. If you land on a wild space, that's great because you can look at the card and pick which category you want to do. If you land on a flip-flop one, that's my favorite one, because then you pick the category, and then we simply, like here we have fruits with edible seeds. So we would name one, and then your team would name one, and then we name one, and your team would name one, and then you keep going until somebody cannot get it correctly. And when that happens, the team who last answered correctly takes control of the board, and they get to go. Then we have this kind of a wild all play where multiple teams will each pick a color before looking at the card, and then they have to name them all at the same time. It's a bit crazy and wild at that point in time, but hey, it's a party game, so I don't mind. And then we have this double down space right here, and when that happens, you read the name of all 5, and you're going to pick 2 of those that you have to answer in 30 seconds. So, it's harder, but at least you get to pick which categories you want to try. Now, when you get to the end, you need to land on here by exact count. You need to land on this Name 5 space by exact count. If you do so, then, if you roll a higher number, then you have to do a challenge of the space where your token's on. And if you do so, you get to go again. But if you do land there by exact roll, then you have 90 seconds. We'll turn the timer over 3 times to answer all 5 challenges on the card. Okay, that's hard. You say, is that ever going to happen? Well, if you get it wrong, then next turn you do the same thing, but you have 4 of them. And then the next time you do the same thing, but you have 3 of them, then 2, then 1. Eventually, you're going to get it, and then that player or team is the winner. Okay, here's the deal. This is not a fantastic, fabulous party game, but it's a solid one. And so there are some people who this is going to work really well for. What I I could use the questions in my youth group. I can use the questions at like a get-together at church. I could just take the piles of the questions and play with it that way. But the game itself isn't terrible. I don't necessarily like the rolling of the die, because someone who rolls a 6 and gets lucky is going to do better than someone who rolls a 1 3 times in a row. But be that as it may, randomness isn't that big of a deal. And hey, it's a party game anyway. Like I said, you have to be careful. The questions are very, very American culture centered, so someone who doesn't know a lot about that will be behind the curve, but still, it's a lot of fun and entertaining. So if you're looking for a party game along these lines, then Name 5 is what you want.
Thanks for joining us today. For more written, audio, and video reviews, as well as the #1 board game podcast, check out the website at www.thedicetower.com. Until then, this is Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower.